This is the Variety Sports Network, created for the fans, by the fans.
And welcome to Talkin the Gridiron Week 13 recap in the Clutch Studios. Row 1 brought to you here. Got my guys with me here, Jordan, Jimmy just getting back as well. So hopefully get Rev on here around 7 o'clock. We'll have a full house with you, bringing you the Week 13 action here in the NFL, as well as definitely some college football talk, more than we've ever had on the show. But it's
the right decision.
Which is Talking the Gridiron. We need to bring this to the table. So we'll definitely get into that as well on this show. Guys, Jimmy, that week there, we got a few games here, week 13, but that college football conversation here is a little bit here I look forward to as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. This was a good weekend of football, even if
it was.
My team hasn't played yet, but it was a good weekend of football.
And we'll definitely get your guys' predictions on the Monday Night Affair here towards the end of the show. Your Bengals play, of course, against the Jaguars there. But like I said, so Week 13 NFL here recap. Let's not mess around. Let's just get right to the game of the week, right? I feel like let's not BS with any other thing. This is what it came down to: is Eagles Niners. That's what we were looking forward to the most. The Niners, the Eagles have that chance. They kind of look like they're a little ahead of the Niners, but they settle for the field goals. It's 6-0. Niners get that 14-6 lead and really never had to look back. There was the weird exchange with Greenlaw and the security guard, which kind of mixes it up, which made that
Bobby
even
D.
Bobby D.
His name was D'Alessandro. He was like the biggest Goomba that I could. It looked like Tommy DeVito's uncle. That's who was on the sideline there. He had the big old Italian flag on the side of his head. I was like, you don't want to punch that guy in the face. He's going to put you in the back of a dump truck.
Yeah,
I work in sanitation. It's a stereotype, but it's true.
Yeah, no, I get you, and you're probably not wrong about that. So that's probably part of the reason that he's doing his job.
He's probably going to get suspended by the NFL. They suspended that kid with the phone and Tyreek Hill. They'll suspend him for anything.
No doubt. He'll definitely be suspended. But Debo, though, he backs it up, 3 TDs. Purdy puts himself maybe back in that MVP conversation race here with the gentleman. Jimmy, what do you think? Eagles, they don't quite show up today, match the Niners.
Well, I mean, it's been coming for the last few weeks. So, yes, it was a little bit surprising that it happened, but we saw this, or at least a version of this coming. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm all that surprised, because you can't play that many close games that many weeks in a row and expect it not to catch up with you at some point. And when a team is humming and a team has a very big chip on their shoulder to play you, they're going to try and make it hurt. And that's what San Francisco was doing. I mean, you cannot look at that and tell me that wasn't the most personal game that we've seen so far in the NFL season. That was more personal than the Kelsey Bowl. That was San Francisco getting to release like almost a year's worth of angst over that NFC Championship game. Now, congratulations. It doesn't mean really that much. It might mean that the Eagles drop down. It puts the Eagles at risk of losing their division, so not altogether that bad, but it's not like it's a playoff game. It's not like the Super Bowl was on the line. So once the Eagles got down by enough, do I think they were giving their full effort? No, I saw Jason Kelsey stand there on a couple plays. So it's interesting. It's hit and miss, but I don't put a whole bunch into this. I just think that this was the Eagles' time to go down. It's been coming for a while.
And they played that Bills game last week. Jordan, right? We mentioned about that. That kind of probably took a little bit out of them as well. But like you said, they got punched in the mouth a little bit. And there was, this game definitely meant more to the Niners, it felt like. And they
I mean, just kind of what Jimmy said. It was personal. This just wasn't a game. It was straight up personal. I mean, even a hit, about a little over 2 minutes, a hit on Swift.
Oh,
I mean, it doesn't get more. It doesn't get more personal.
There's no need. That man has a family. He has people watching this game.
It got lit up.
But you watch The Sopranos. Sometimes it gets personal. You gotta amp it up, and like you said, I put a lot more stock in this than kind of you did, because this game meant everything on a mental edge standpoint, and you can't count that out in sports. This now will be their black eye until they meet again, probably in the playoffs. So it's definitely, in my opinion, that you were out physicaled, you were outplayed, you looked like you were out coached. Debo looked like the old Debo that we knew.
Man, what a couple runs he had.
Just bullying people.
this Eagles defense has a lot more issues than I think I gave it credit for initially. That's also what I kind of walked away from, because San Francisco could do whatever they wanted. And I thought the Eagles D-line would at least be able to hold up. The offensive line didn't play bad, but just there was no answer on defense. And that's been their issue. That's where they're injured. They've talked about it all season, but that's like that's where I could see them running into this upcoming weekend. For them now becomes very important, because if you lose this game to Dallas, they have the tiebreaker over you because they beat the crap out of all those bad NFC teams. So they actually would win the division if you guys ended with the same record and you guys split the season series. You have to show up against Dallas this weekend, or your season is going from, oh wow, we possibly can be hosting the playoffs again, to we're looking up at a wild card run. And this team is good enough and talented enough. If they get some people back, it's not like that's the worst thing. But yeah, we're starting to see when you have issues, when you have adversity, these young coaches that we thought were doing a really good job, Zach Taylor, Nick Sirianni, adversity kind of shows who you really are as a staff. That wasn't good today.
Purdy maybe quieting, like any type of it just feels like he was on his game today. And like you said, with the Eagles, their defense, Jimmy, I would say, well, how about the Niners, all their offensive weapons? That does not make it easy on it. When they're all clicking like that, he had these little, what was the little loop reverse that they had going on with Samuel? They had 5 different looks out of that. And Debo, some of those runs look personal, as you guys were saying. That one where he beats the receiver and then just turns on the afterburners to basically make it to the end zone, dives all the way in. There was just a lot of good plays. Ayuk in the back of the end zone, even that first touchdown catch wasn't routine.
There's a couple like that Jennings guy I'd never heard of before today, and he had a couple monster plays.
Jennings, yep, he had a couple big plays as well. And then the Niners defense did enough. Their secondary hurts. I'm not sure what he'll be with it. We got our guy Rev on as well. Rev, good to have you on. Talking the Gridiron here. We're just wrapping up a little Eagles Niners game of the day talk here. How you doing, my friend? You get to check out any of that game?
Oh, yeah, definitely got to catch the end of it. I mean, just to see the level of just the slacking that San Francisco put on them. You can tell that some of those players, just the beef that carried on through the offseason, Debo Samuel's tweets and Charvarius Ward and all those people, just how salty they were in the offseason. You can tell, like, they had that day marked in their calendar. And, yeah, speaking of Debo Samuel, that man had a field day out there. Like, you could just tell that game was personal for him. Like, yeah, ultimately I thought it was kind of silly, the things going into the season. Like, oh, we would have done this or that if our quarterback never got hurt. Like, well, you still gave up like 500 yards on the ground. So either way, but, yeah, you could tell it was personal. They made a statement. So good for them. The Eagles are in a trap situation here where they're going – they just lost to San Francisco. Now they got the game against Dallas next week at Dallas. This could be a scenario where maybe if they don't watch out, they might not have that first place wild card spot anymore, or the home field advantage spot.
And that's the thing, Rev. That was to me what was it. Kind of at least makes now the Eagles have to push a little bit here. You know what I mean? They couldn't just now. I mean, it does one game back, and now they've lost that head-to-head. It does make them have to push a little bit more here, which I kind of find a little bit more interesting here as we kind of move on with it. Like we said, Debo was awesome today. The thing that would be taken out of that game though, right, is the Greenlaw throwdown, and then the
with the traitor.
I don't want to do your.
Have you guys as players ever been in like that where you just kind of like
yes,
yeah, all the time.
Yeah, no, the people. It's funny how when people are watching you, and I would say probably more on wrestling, and like seeing some of those wrestling events at the college level too. When you're that close to that level of competition, people lose their minds. Why do you think somebody threw a beer at Ron Artest at the Malice at the Palace? Because somebody forgot that, that's not a normal human being. He's sitting up in the stands. He looks normal size from section 300. When a 6'8" monster gets up and wraps his gigantic hands around your throat, it's a little bit different. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit fired up that way too. I would be in the same situation. I can't hold myself back. I don't have that kind of a filter.
And he got right up into it. I can't blame it. It made.
I may get knocked out, but I'm not going to look like a punk before I get knocked out.
No, I don't blame it. It'll be interesting to me if these teams meet the NFC Championship. If it is in San Francisco, what's that edge? Everybody was saying, well, the Niners were the favorite. and that should give Philadelphia the edge. Like obviously that played no factor whatsoever in that. Feels good, maybe. Yes, I'm sure it does, Mr. McGurk. I'm sure it does feel good to get that win today. You guys are now one game back.
You guys look for every opportunity to see yourself as the underdog. You're a good team. I don't understand why this is such a big deal.
Well, the Eagles thing when they were out to pick in Vegas, they tried to make a big deal out of that with the Eagles being the underdog this week. Jordan, any last thoughts on this game?
No, I just I thought I did think the 49ers were going to win, but I didn't think it was going to be because of physicality. That was just my mind was blown. Especially like you said, Philadelphia, and even the Philadelphia media, they put that in the spin cycle. They're at the Rocky statue and they put a Eagles jersey on. They were like, it's Rocky Day and we're the underdogs. We're gonna win it all. And they came out like it was the first match in Rocky 3. They got pounded by Mr. T.
No, it's true. They were trying to get that commercial deal done, is doing the Amex, and then all of a sudden just Mr. T's wailing on you for a round and a half, knocking you out while your trainer's dying in the back.
I think the Niners or the Eagles there, we'll see how they respond, like you guys said, next week against the Cowboys. And we'll see if the Niners, they don't lay flat after a big victory here against the Eagles. Where are we at? 14-12. There it is. That's it. Big Rocky. What is that? One of your original podcasts? What are your original podcasts?
Yeah. Well, I just now, as I was looking up, I was like, oh yeah, I have that too. I have the poster. I have that.
Yeah.
It's a little obsessed with me.
Yeah, a little Rocky. My brother's got a big Rocky guy as well with it. 14-12, right? I think we got Chiefs down.
Yeah, the Chiefs just scored and missed the 2-point conversion.
So we got that going on. Decent game here Sunday night.
Who scored a touchdown?
Green Bay about to take it back.
The Pacheco missed the fail, the 2-point conversion.
Okay.
The touchdown was Pacheco got the 1-yard rush in there too. So 14-12. So we'll see if Green Bay, who's been playing a little better, looking a little bit more love, looking like the
Love actually. That's good. I think. What do you guys think? Which channel has the best graphics? Is it Fox, CBS? I mean, NBC is bringing the heat.
Love actually.
I feel like NBC puts them to shame when it comes to graphics.
They get a ton of extra, right? Like they could use The Office. They could use a lot of extra stuff from Peacock. So yeah, that was a good one. I like that one a lot.
In terms of the graphics, even though CBS is not like the most aesthetically pleasing, something I like, whereas compared to Fox, at least CBS will show the tickers or the scores like underneath the game of like other stuff, other statistics, scores in other games. Whereas with Fox, you watch a game, you're kind of just locked into that one game outside of the updates here and there. So kind of like the details there on CBS is.
I agree with that. Go ahead, Don.
Next year, and it's going on CBS.
Who's going to CBS next year?
The Big Ten's going to CBS, and I believe the SEC is going to Fox.
They had some CBS games this year.
That was supposed to happen this year.
No,
they had some Big Ten games on CBS. I remember that. I don't know, I don't think it was like a full-time thing, but
when the announcers signed off yesterday, they said they think the SEC for a decade long of coverage. They announced they're moving to the Big Ten next year, so it was a big deal.
This college football landscape is just changing up. Pac-12 literally disappearing after that great championship game. Everything's shifting around. You got Stanford's gonna have to travel across the country just to play a football season.
Colin Stanford out here. I'm like, I can't wait for the Duke basketball games. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to. The ACC is there. It's like Duke, North Carolina, all those schools that maybe they get to play against. It's gonna be crazy. West Coast team going all the way out to the Atlantic Coast Conference out there. Right there. A couple more games here, then we'll get into that college football real quick with it. Other game of the day here. Broncos. I thought they were going to make it. I thought they were going to squeak it out late again. CJ Stroud again. Jimmy, he pulled the Texans. They pull it out. He didn't do as well today with it, but they had a couple good receivers go off. What was it? Dell goes down with the broken leg today.
He's out for the season. That's
he's out for the season. Yep, he's down. Collins steps up, has a big day for him. It looked like the Broncos were going to have a good drive there. That looked like old Russell Wilson, 4th and 2, extending it, diving, and then he gets really no chance really on that last play. Just couldn't quite throw it high enough, and the Broncos gave it a good try there, but they just couldn't pull it off. And the Texans, Will Anderson had a massive game today. He
He's
played
a beast.
well.
I feel like
This
he's
is
defensive
breakout
rookie.
game.
Yeah.
Defensive rookie of the year. That guy is that's a cornerstone piece. People were giving them a hard time about that pick, thinking that it was the right choice for them and what DeMeco Ryans wants to build. And you won that game on your defense today. 3 interceptions. I think one of them you can put solely on Russell Wilson. It was a bad read. The first one that he was trying to get to Judy. The other 2 were good, really good plays, and the offensive line gave him no help today. That was the thing. They did try and praise the Broncos offensive line at the beginning of the broadcast. You forgot that they were going up against not very talented defensive fronts, and the Texans today made them look absolutely mortal. Couldn't run the ball the way that they had been. Give them credit because they made it a game. We watched it from start to finish because my parents are big Broncos fans, so we were locked in. We were invested. It was close. Here's the thing. I haven't been in a situation where I was watching a Bronco game like that and thinking, okay, this could go in. If Jimmy Ward isn't in that position, if they didn't know the play. That tight end that ran that route, he didn't know what route he was supposed to run. I don't know if he was supposed to go that way. Jimmy Ward made a huge play, but there was some good and bad. It was. I think both teams proved they were almost there, about a season or 2 away.
Texans, they went with it 4 out of the last 5 here, Jordan. They just continued to kind of make a move. They got the Colts here too. They beat the Titans today. They hang on for their win too, and we got a battle here in the AFC South.
Yeah, I think that the Colts they kind of got lucky. The Titans gave that away, but
yeah,
they playing for 3 points in overtime. Just to me, when you're already on a losing season, just didn't make a lot of sense. They kind of lost their aggression there towards the end, and they left the door open to Gardner Minshew, and he brought back Minshew mania. I think it's 4 straight wins now for the Colts, so they're definitely things up there in the AFC South. So
yeah, so we got both those matchups there. We got what do you think of there? Are you feeling better about the Colts or the Texans there, Rev?
Ultimately, right now, after that Tank Dell injury, you might have to say you might have to say Colts. But the thing is, Texas, for the most part, they've been battling with banged up offensive lines, banged up people on defense. They haven't had Desdell Perriman all year or Blake Cashman. Ward has battled injuries. Derek Stingley has battled injuries. So even though I say that, this is a team that just – with the fortitude that they have with DeMeco Ryans and how much they've battled just throughout the season, and with the young core that they have with C.J. Stroud. And personally, right now I'd put Devin Witherspoon in front of Will Anderson in terms of defensive rookie of the year. But this was definitely that first breakout game because Anderson has flashed all year, but he just hasn't showed up on the stat sheet yet. And today, finally showed up on the stat sheet with the 2 sacks. And while they've been playing well, they have the fortitude and they're as gritty as they are. That injury to take, though, might take a bit of a blow just when it comes to the chemistry that him and C.J. Stroud had. As a matter of fact, it was C.J. Stroud who called the offense to make sure that they drafted Takedown in the first place. And I think that's going to be a bit of a big blow there.
I thought he couldn't. I thought he wasn't smart enough. I thought these tests that they did the season, he couldn't do any of this stuff. So what a joke that is with it. The other game of the day kind of happened on Thursday. I want to mention real quick. Prescott, he throws it. That was actually a pretty good day for a Thursday night game. They end up kind of pulling it out there, and what we said on a rare little prime time game there, guys. I got to get to it right now. It's just on my mind with the question of the week: college football playoffs. We get to the core. We get to the 4 here with it. Michigan, Washington, Texas. Alabama. I'm going to get it up on the screen here. Jimmy,
Thank you. Nostradamus has returned. I called it.
Politics.
Yeah, you had called it right there. There it is.
I guess the order was incorrect. I feel like the order is a little bit arbitrary, but I knew that those were the 4 teams. If Michigan was able to hold on, how do you not put – the committee has shown the tendency to – They do this. They put SEC champion in over no matter what, whether it's 1 loss or not. So Ohio State, you were never going to get there because you have no conference championship and you have 1 loss. Florida State, you lost your starting quarterback. We can see that your defense is doing everything they can, but you walked to a 15-point win against Florida that could have gone very poorly for you, and you beat a Louisville team by 10 in the ACC championship. So do I want to put you in there against somebody that's going to possibly whoop your ass and we have another bad semifinal? Like, unfortunate. Here's a good thing. I think it's them and the UCF team with Mackenzie Milton. Just sit there and say, if our quarterback hadn't busted his leg, we would have been able to have a fighting chance. And you would have, because if he's the quarterback, whether you have the same performance with the last 2 weeks, then I think it's a different story, because Jordan Travis was a Heisman guy. He was a top of the country guy. They wanted to see him. Of course, you want to put Florida State in there. They're a blue blood program. The people that I've seen that I've been arguing with today that are like, oh, they don't respect the ACC, they don't respect Florida State, I don't think that had anything to do with it. They can pick and choose their criteria. It's a subjective opinion in a very objective process.
And it came down to the quarterback being not very good now, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of old dudes that sit in the room and argue like we're doing, and then they just go up 1, 2, 3, 4.
You should be so offended as a player on Florida State that you work your ass out all year. You guys go undefeated, and you're like, oh, because our quarterback goes down, you're not going to give us a chance to play for the championship. And, oh yeah, and you know what? We haven't even lost a game. Oh yeah, we won a game on the road in the SEC. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that they probably would have got smoked by Michigan. You're probably right, but that's a hard precedent to set. I don't know.
But there's a hard precedent. I'll quit talking. Let everybody else talk.
Generally, they often go with like the team with the better record, the shinier record. They had the O right next to them, and that was the only thing I missed. I thought FSU would get in front of Alabama, that there'd be no SEC teams. But ultimately, like, I'm kind of happy about it, because the only argument that Florida State has really is they have the better record. But when you look at the quote-unquote eye test and the power that Alabama they have left, they have their quarterback, they have their core. You look at strength of schedule. I mean, Florida State, their wins came – who were their best wins? LSU and Louisville, whereas Alabama, they beat LSU too. But not only that, they beat a top 10 team in Ole Miss, and then they beat the back-to-back defending champions in Georgia. So you look at eye test, you look at strength of schedule. The only thing that Florida State really just had over them is, well, we're undefeated. Like, they kind of had those kind of lackluster games at the end of the season, but that was the only thing they had going for them was their record.
Alabama didn't even play a power team, 2 weeks ago? They basically had an FCS team on their schedule.
Florida State blew their chance at the playoff playing an FCS school.
And history, if we look at history, because I'm going to bring up my Buckeyes in this history, when JT Barrett went down, the first year that we won, the first year of the conference championship playoff system, it was Cardale Jones, an unknown quarterback who was a freshman. So the fact that
and what did he do in those performances?
The fact that we're even building an argument on the fact that, oh, my starting quarterback went down, I think that's complete lackluster bullshit, because if we would have used that argument in 2016, Ohio State wouldn't have been the champions. And
but has that FSU quarterback played like
Alabama's
Cardale Jones?
Auburn.
That's
Alabama's lackluster performance against Auburn, which came down to a boneheaded decision not to rush the quarterback on a 4th down miracle play. We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
If you want to sit here and compare your Buckeyes to this horseshit Florida State team, the Cardale Jones Buckeyes that whooped the shit out of Wisconsin in that Big Ten championship and won their last game of the season by at least 30 points, then I guess you want to bring your team down to that level, because Florida State is not Ohio State with Cardale Jones. It's a totally different situation. That argument does not stand in this situation, because Florida State that's not them. That's not them. So you can't expect to win games in the college football playoff by scoring 10 points. Nobody's done it. Nobody has.
So will this happen going forward with like the 13th or 12th team that gets in? Like, well, they would have been the 12th team, but their quarterback went down. So we're gonna I'm just saying, is that what we're kind of basically getting to now? Or
they need to change the whole process on how they get people in. It has to just be whether or not you win your conference and who has the best record and at-large bids at that point. Do it like the NCAA basketball tournament, for Christ's sake. Like every other sport, at every other level, at every other division.
So Michigan versus Bama. It's kind of an interesting matchup, though. It's kind of an interesting matchup, though. That's not bad, though, Jordan. That's not bad. I'm sorry. I know Florida. That's not a bad matchup in Ohio State.
No, they're undefeated, and they did what they're supposed to do. And, nobody seems happy about it. I'm going to kind of quote Rocky there. In Rocky 5, when he's talking to the committee, Florida State did what they're supposed to do. They did what everybody asked him to do, and nobody was happy about it. and they got punished for it. Who is the committee to tell an undefeated Power 5 team that won their conference that they don't deserve a spot? I think that's insane to me. Undefeated. So that means it didn't matter about the injuries. Every week and week out, any given Saturday and any given Sunday, which we sit here and we talk about it, anything can happen. And they took it away from those young men. It's been
to me this way the whole time. I don't understand why this is new.
And we look at the SEC as a whole, they're 7-9 against Power 5 conferences outside the SEC. They had a losing record. The ACC did not.
Okay, but look at Alabama's lone loss, though.
I'm just looking at the stat lines. What made that final decision other than politics? To me, it's just
Alabama has won a national championship like 4 out of the last 6 years, going back to the time that Saban signed his contract, and Georgia's won the last 2. So the SEC, whether you want to admit it or not, has been the most prestigious conference. The Big Ten is right up there. I'm not saying that. I've been a very big bystander of the Big Ten. I am a supporter of the Big Ten. But in this situation, it's just I feel like the committee goes based on a team. I don't know. Maybe it's the recency bias, your last performance in the playoff, and maybe that's what they go on because Florida State didn't look that great the last time they were in the playoff. I don't know. But I go back to this shouldn't be the way that we decide who's in the playoff by having this just a committee decide it. That's the dumbest thing. There is no rhyme or reason to it. And the fact I didn't understand this initially, but now that I have a better understanding, they can choose what criteria they go on with different teams. They don't have to use the same criteria for each team that they pick. So maybe they went strength of schedule for who's number 1 seed. Maybe they went best win for who's number 2. 3, conference champion. 4, obviously was conference champion. And, they just beat the team that hadn't lost in 2 years. They can do that. They can combine things. They can snip things. Nobody's holding them accountable. So at this point, we either have to change the whole system or we just have to be okay with what happened. And that's the way that it is, and that's the way that it's been. It's been every single college football playoff that we've had since it started.
The Florida State AD did come out and say that the committee has let college football down today. They has let college football down. That was the
Florida State has let down higher education in the state of Florida. And Van Wilder and Bert Kreischer are like the 2 most notable alumni. You're known for going 7 years for an undergrad.
That's the tiebreaker. Your graduation rate. That's the tiebreaker.
No, you'd have a lot more fun at Florida State. I'm saying Florida State's better. Did that not come out for translation?
No. So yeah. So what do you guys got real quick? Michigan, Alabama. We got Texas, Washington. Any feel for these games? What are you guys thinking?
Texas is the wild card because Texas, I think, has been a little bit more inconsistent than the other ones. Washington's scary a little bit too because that defense is suspect. But if they can get that run that LSU had in 2019, LSU's defense in 2019 played a lot better than they did at the beginning of the season that year, and that's kind of what carried them along with that offense that was unbelievable. I think Penix is that level of player, but they are a little bit worrisome just with the close games that they played. I don't know if that gives me confidence, or I don't know if that means they're going to get themselves in a tight game now and lose on some stupid shit, because I think it could go out one of those 2 ways. And with college games, that's the wild card. I don't know how people regularly bet on college sports, because I think I said it on our show like a week or 2 ago. There's a possibility these kids are going out on a bender on Thursday night, not showing up for class on Friday, and getting ready to play on Saturday. Like, okay, I don't know if I really want to put all my faith in Johnny right now. But I think Texas and Washington are my wild cards.
That's a good call. Rev, you think Michigan's the heavy favorite? You think Alabama gets them?
In terms of that game, I kind of just feel like, based off of experience of both those coaches being in the college football playoffs lately, whether that game is going to be the team that wins national championship, just having the coach and the environment and people who have been there multiple times. However, in terms of like who I think is going to win that matchup there, like Alabama's definitely come across like they've hit their rhythm. Like, it's crazy to think that after week 2 losing to Texas, in hindsight, it's crazy to think that they try to bench Jalen Milroe. And ever since then, he took the job back, has proven himself to be a plus quarterback, a very good one. Excited to see what he does next season and the momentum they've picked up. And also Michigan, their piss is going to be a little hot too because the last couple of games without Jim Harbaugh, just the signal stealing stuff, they're going to have a hot chip on their shoulder as well. And ultimately, I think just off of that, Jim Harbaugh is going to be back on the sidelines. The players are going to be hyped up and really excited about that. I think they're going to come out and pull off the victory. They have their heart and soul back on that sideline for them.
It'll be interesting. Jordan, you got a feel for who pulls this out, who raises the trophy?
But between that game or overall?
Overall, well, you give me a feel. I'll get to that. You can say who wins that one. So.
I think Alabama's going to beat Michigan.
All right.
And it's not been a biased opinion. Michigan kind of they looked a little shaky. Iowa's defense, to me, their defense gave them several fits. They got after the quarterback really well, and Alabama has the offense to go with it. I think Alabama's defense is very similar to Iowa in the style of play and physicality, and I don't see Michigan getting over that. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be probably 24-21 Bama. But I just Alabama wins that game, and I think Texas is the underdog. I think Texas upsets Washington only because I think the quarterback in Texas is a little bit more polished, playing both at Ohio State and Texas. He's kind of bringing more experience, in my opinion. He's seen more defenses. He's had more coaching, and I think that's the upside. You're seeing he hasn't even hit a ceiling yet. He set all the Big 12 championship records for passing touchdown and yardage. Granted, his competition wasn't great, but give me Texas and Bama for the championship. So.
I like how Jimmy nodded like I would have when you said it wasn't personal with Michigan. Yeah, okay, we believe you. We got all right.
I've been arguing against Michigan people today too because I called the 4 teams that made it. Oh, Washington over Michigan is a bogus take. Shut up, dude. Just take the fact that I had you as in the 4.
Preach, Jimmy. Preach.
You guys couldn't even accept the win. You had to find something to bitch about. You're so whiny and now I don't like anybody in that game. How about that? I'm not an Ohio State or Michigan fan. I just want to see a brawl every year. I want to see somebody flip off the crowd, and I want to see a brawl in the tunnel, and then I'll be happy with Michigan, Ohio State.
And when you got your Ohio State Buckeyes playing Missouri, so it's kind of a random matchup there.
Watch out for Missouri now.
They are.
Tigers had themselves a nice year.
They do. Their running back. I like their running.
Everybody's going to say that, and then this is going to be the game where McCord actually gets a Ryan Day bump and scores 70 points.
He tears it up finally for Ohio State. They're on offense.
It depends who plays going to the draft or not. They don't know if Harrison's going to play. So.
Yeah, that would be. There was some talk he might come back because he wants to beat Michigan. I was like, yeah, all right. I was like, yeah, I'm sure.
If Cooper Manning calls Harrison Jr. and says, I'm going to transfer out of Texas because Ewing said he's coming back to Texas. So that'll be interesting development to see if Manning will actually sit another year or if he's going to get up and transfer to a team that's ready for a quarterback. So
I know that NIL money must be nice for Harrison, but no, go to the league, man. Your stock is not going any higher. Go to the league.
Go to the league. I completely agree. So it'll be fun college football here. I'm talking the Gridiron. Probably maybe a first for us, but we'll kind of do it here once in a while as we kind of get into the bowl season a little bit. It's kind of fun to it's still football, right? So that's the idea with it here. That was a fun storyline. There was a lot of drama that might have happened, and I'm glad it did. It would have been a little bit more fun if Michigan lost, but
we do a bowl pick'em show every year too. So we got our annual bowl pick'em show that we're gonna have.
Your brother won last year.
He's won it the last 2 years, Daren. I still have yet to win any of our competitions or pick'ems through the show. Thank you for bringing that up and reminding me once again. I'm the Cody Rhodes of my promotion, okay? I just set everybody up for the title run, and I'd never actually get to win the belt.
The John Stockton. That's right. He sets everybody up with that. Like, all right. So that's our question of the week here. College football, kind of a flair with it. All right, as we kind of transition back into the NFL here, we're kind of get to the third quarter of the show here. We're 21-12 still here. Is that where we're at, Jimmy?
Dude, Christian Watson's touchdown catch on that last score was insane. That kid, I specifically was way too quick to write this Packers team off because they were young, they needed to learn, and they are talented. Christian Watson's fast, and that was a hell of a catch. And it was a good throw, too.
I can erase him off our list. I can erase him.
I don't know if we need to, but because they're going to be 6-6 if they win this one, and the NFC is now tough. But
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It is. Next year will be very interesting with Green Bay.
And what's up with the Chiefs then? I mean, they can beat the Raiders. I get when they're down 31-3, but we are
They're
starting
just-
to see some cracks.
They're not as dominant as they have been,
Yeah.
but they're still just a good team. I feel like because
back
that's
on
what when you're a good team for so long, you lose your players. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. They
Yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
those guys.
And they're right back in the red zone as we're speaking. So it's not like they're doing it. Speaking of Tyreek Hill, he goes off again today. News and notes segment here. They're 9-3, first time since 2001.
Get this. We're going to play Tyreek Hill one-on-one without a safety over the top.
Oh, I know. Great play. Great plan. That catch, though, he made, though, when you're going this way and then you immediately kind of have to turn, that was a pretty smooth catch just to keep the momentum going, too. That was pretty nice right there.
When you're that fast, I feel like you see everything in double time speed. So it looked really quick to us, but in his mind, it was like,
that's got to be nice for Tua. Just throw it up. Get it up there. He'll go get it. Throw it up there. I mean, the guy's a beast. And, I think this might be – I keep saying it. This might be the year he steals MVP from a quarterback. And I don't know. It just feels like this might be the
we're
year.
very lucky Brian or Tyler is not on right now because they would be pounding the table for you-know-who.
I mean, I just think Purdy and
for
McCaffrey
Christian?
are steal too much. McCaffrey to me deserves it almost more over Purdy. That's where I would be.
No, that's what I mean. They'd be pounding the table for McCaffrey.
Yeah,
Because I've already been seeing that. They've been trying to put that out for the last 3 weeks.
Do you think that I'm just always worried about the MVQ, that it just has to be a quarterback. That's always my concern with it. So I just hope that I kind of want it to be somebody different this year. And I feel like there's an opportunity this year for a position player to sneak out and get it. So we'll see there. My hot take, like I said, it wasn't maybe that big of a hot take, but I said it a couple weeks ago. I think the Dolphins can make the Super Bowl this year pretty easy. I think they're there with it. I think they're right there to push the Chiefs. They're down a little bit. So they kind of they beat the Commanders. No shock there. Go ahead.
Can we put out there that the Chargers beat the Patriots 6-0 today?
Yeah, I got that on my. Let's skip ahead. Oh yeah, with the fair field goals. That was my oh yeah segment. Hang on, my friends at Patriots fan says they're doing an excellent job. There's nobody can lose the way they are.
Those kids, those obnoxious little assholes are like, what the hell? I've never been able not to score a freaking touchdown. We got beat by 2 field goals.
We had Tom Brady. Brady went in there. We won that in 2 quarters.
Yeah, I don't know about Mr. Kraft, all right? Maybe we should let him go back to those Korean massage parlors.
Somebody asked us on our local radio show because you were speaking out of the Chargers, how they're kind of, even though they win 6-0, it's like I don't know. It's like you always feel like this talking about Herbert. If you put like Herbert and Purdy out there for most teams, you would say, yeah, we're going to take Herbert most of the time. But I think if you ask Shanahan today, would he rather have Purdy or Herbert? I'm not sure he would say, I want Herbert. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this weird deal where I want to take Herbert for everything, but at some point it's just getting – I don't know. I'm just getting odd with this Chargers deal. I know he lost Williams. I know Allen was out a little bit today. I don't know. It's a weird deal, this whole Herbert Chargers thing. So maybe next year we'll turn it all around.
I think that's where a lot of people overlook him.
21-18. Say that again, Jordan.
Herbert just passes the eye test. I mean, he had the big arm. He has the physical size. He had some speed.
6 points. I hear you. Let's break it up just a little bit there, Jordan. What do you think there, Rev?
There's something about this Chargers team where it feels like no matter who they have at quarterback, like something's going to go wrong. Every year is their year, but ultimately there's going to be problems with depth, problems with injuries here and there. And for the most part, Justin Herbert's been playing lights out. Like, yeah, there are some games here and there. Wasn't great against the Cowboys. Today was kind of just like a dud. I even forgot that game even happened. But there's just something about that environment and that powder blue.
Oh, yeah, speaking of your game here, you guys – now, talk about an ugly game, just weather delay. Mike Tomlin say we played. Yeah, I mean, talk about if you had tickets to that game and you're looking forward to that one.
Anybody look forward to go to Steelers games? Does anybody?
I don't know if I would, but if I was a Steelers fan, you get to wait. I don't know. Maybe you would be looking forward to that. You're probably thinking you're going to get a win against the Cardinals today, against your boy from Mr. Duty, Call of Duty, and they end up losing 24-10. Pickett goes out early in the game. You guys are still 7-5, but this is the Steelers we were expecting.
Yeah,
This
it's a bit. Yeah, that was a bit of a gut punch there, and also Kenny Pickett is going to be out. He's scheduled to be out for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're going in these next few weeks with Mitchell Trubisky playing quarterback here. Not an ideal scenario. When it comes to the Steelers being favorites, it's so uncomfortable to put Pittsburgh in a heavy favorite situation, no matter who they're playing. Because
hates it.
can you rely on their offense to drop enough points? Like, what if Arizona randomly shows up and they're feistier with Kyler Murray? They could put some points to get on offense, and it was nothing crazy. The defense did a good job stifling them a little.
Yeah.
But when you have an offense that you can't rely on, like, you don't know if they're going to drop 20 points in a game. Like, it's just so uncomfortable being able to rely and trust the Steelers as a favorite to really pull it off, because the way they do it is just off of voodoo. Like, you never really know. Like, it's just you don't really have a feeling that they're gonna win until they pull it off. Or it's like, this game's a lot closer than it is right now in the third and fourth quarter, and we just kind of pull it off because Kenny Pickett finds a couple connections late. But you can't rely on just bits and pieces and spurts of offense to really succeed in the NFL on a consistent basis.
I mean, and you guys are a tough eye test to watch. I mean, I know that's your favorite team, but like, yeah, that is not one of those. That's not a team where you're, yep, I'm putting that's going on the TV first. Except for when I go to my pizza place out here where I watch all the games on Sunday. There's this one random Steelers fan in my little town here in Cloverdale, California, and he was always like, "Put that Steelers game on there."
Put the Steelers game on, please. You need to go down to the bar. We need to put the Steelers game on.
I was like, why the hell is that Steelers-Cardinals game out? Yep, turns to the corner. There's that guy with his little Steelers shirt drinking his beer at 11:30.
His name's Pat. He's happy to be here.
Names are Pat, baby.
That was great. He's there. Get that Steelers game on for me. I was like, no, we don't need that Steelers game. If that was John from Out of Your Falcon Mind, I don't even know if he would have wanted this game on today. The Falcons end up winning that game. They take the lead in the NFC South. They pull it out. As I got the Packers score up here against the Chiefs here, they're holding on to a lead here, just like the Falcons against, I mean, just a team that's basically irrelevant right now. The Jets just are pathetic. I mean, this is what when you start to look at a team when it comes to the regular season, you're just like a dumpster fire. Pathetic. I mean, that is not an NFL. That's pathetic. I mean, you think of all the players that play in the NFL, all the training you do year in and year out, and that's the type of garbage you can throw out once a week. It makes me think about all the backup quarterbacks that have been played this year in the NFL and how they continue to just teams miss on quarter. It's just crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know what to say. I just wanted to rip on backup quarterbacks in the NFL a little bit. I don't even really have anything to say about this game in particular. I just think the quarterback play in the NFL sometimes it's awful.
It's either really good or really bad. There's not that many good quarterbacks. So.
Yeah, not everyone can be Joe Flacco. I don't know if y'all saw him earlier.
Yeah, what you think of that?
That was the worst pass at the end of the game. But honestly, up until
he
that
wasn't
point,
bad.
He still could throw the 20-yarder, right? Anything 20 yards, he can still make it look pretty.
He used to have a gun. I used to be the Italian stallion gun, and now it's just gone.
Yeah, it's not there.
That first touchdown was a beauty. I mean,
that was nice.
40 yards downfield.
That was nice. And Stafford. He was, speaking of an older guy, he got going a little bit with 3 touchdowns there. It was funny to see a Browns-Rams matchup, just a weird uniform matchup for my eyes there. You don't see that matchup, that brown with the orange helmet, the blue. It was just kind of a weird thing altogether when I was seeing it on my screen. Didn't feel normal watching that up on there. The Browns are kind of in a weird spot too now. That whole AFC North, like we said, the Ravens, it's there for them. So they should easily win that division now, with all the injuries that have taken place in that division there. So, yeah, Baltimore. Then they play. They got the bye this week with it. So those are a little bit of our late game checks over there. With it. The other one here I wanted to mention we didn't talk about was obviously the Panthers. They lose to the Bucks. The reason I brought this one up is Mike Evans more in particular. He becomes the second receiver ever to get 1,000 yards. Or 1,000 yards, second most seasons with that. Jerry Rice had 14 seasons with 1,000 yards. Mike Evans, I believe, tied Chris Carter this year. With another one. This performance, has he been with the Bucs his whole career? I feel like
his whole career.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I thought he was.
He's he kind of is to me what I think Keenan Allen could have been. If like when I think about their size and their speed, but if I'm just speaking to Mike Evans, man, what a player he is from Texas A&M. He's what a career. I mean, you can't argue with those numbers.
No,
1,000 yards every season. Every season he's been in the league, he's had at least 1,000 receiving yards. Whether it be the wild card, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Baker,
30.
Whoever.
30 for 30. I think that he's benefited from having a lot of wild quarterbacks because his quarterback at Texas A&M was Johnny Manziel. And then he comes into the NFL, he has Jameis Winston, and then he's gifted 3 years with Tom Brady. Those were beautiful years for him. But no, he's been a freak, and he's wild. As big as he is, normally you don't see a receiver that's that big play every single week, but I always feel like he's either questionable at worst or he's in the lineup and playing, and he's a hell of a red zone threat. I mean, that guy's 6'5", and he's huge. He's gigantic when you look at him compared to some of the DBs that are covering him.
And he never loses a step either. He looks just as fast every year.
Double the touchdown he had today. That was pretty good. I mean, he just separated.
75.
He's just like a power forward playing receiver. Like speed was never the biggest part of his game, but he's just so crafty. He wins those 50-50 balls. He wins those jump balls. He's unfair in the red zone. Like he's always had that skill set. And
my favorite receiver in Madden.
Year after year. Like you'll never really hear him in the discussions of top 3, top 5 tight ends, but he's just one of those guys where he's so consistent. Like you can never just fully count him out.
I always try to think of guys that are like who are like would be like buff, like I always got my guy back in the day, your Ohio State boy, David Boston. He's always the first guy that comes to my mind when I think of
steroid boy.
Like massive receivers with like. You remember David Boston? Yeah, he used to match up against Charles Woodson back in the day when those. Just look it up. Arizona, David Boston, Arizona Cardinals. Yes, Rev, you're right. Royd's probably for sure. He was a great All-American there at Ohio State. I think of him. I think the guy went to South Carolina. He wasn't a speedster though. Like it was like something Jeffries or he was a big old dude. They would just throw a lot of
Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, he was kind of the other guy that I kind of think of just like big. He's obviously better than those guys, but like you just don't see that combination of what Evans has unless you get to the free
Megatron DT.
Megatron. Like those rare guys. Like
Megatron had another gear of speed to go with it. That just wasn't fair.
And he played at Georgia Tech in college.
Jimmy Graham and
I don't know if
so weird. He went to Georgia Tech. So I
don't know if y'all remember Dorial Green Beckham. Like I remember, like in college, like he was a real deal. Had that 6'5", 230 tight end size with just ridiculous athleticism.
Yes.
It was just too many off the field issues. Always getting in trouble. But like that man had the baseline athleticism and raw talent to be one of those types of guys. Another guy I think about like that is Martavis Bryant. Like early on with the Steelers. Like I remember that catch against the Bengals in the playoffs where like he damn near did a front flip in the end zone. Like
he had to go there, guys. He had to go with that. But what was the guy who went to Oklahoma State? It was like Blackman or something like that.
Yeah, Justin
Blackman. Yeah,
he was a big boy too. I remember he had some.
Another one who couldn't get out of his own way.
Yeah, Brandon Whedon, what a quarterback.
Same for Josh Gordon if he got out of his own way.
Stay off.
He's a Rastafarian, man. He's a Rasta man.
It's down the way. He's got a lot of chances. What does he play? He's probably played in some flag football.
He's on like the NFL's 18 strike policy.
18
if you get as many strikeouts as Greg Maddux had in a season, then I guess that Josh Dobbs will no longer be available to play. Not Josh Dobbs. No, God.
I got you.
Totally forgot.
Probably up there with just chance after chance.
No, you can't get that many chances, Josh Gordon, with it. Standings check here before we get to we're at the fourth quarter here with it. We're kind of not too much here, other than the Niners now separated themselves obviously from the Seahawks this week. The Chiefs, if they fall back, it would be kind of funny if the Broncos would have won today, and you did have the Chiefs lose, and all of a sudden the Broncos would have won.
Game and a half. No, thank God. Darren, it would have been hell for me.
Nico.
It would have been an absolute nightmare. That's all I would have heard about for the next however many. At least now, all I get to hear about is how great the Nuggets are and how fun Jokic is to watch. If I have to deal with Russell Wilson is a guy that's going to take a team to the playoffs, I will. I'm not going to say what I'll do because I have students that might have found this show, but it's not going to be great for me.
We need to be careful with that. And the other thing I forgot to standing check wise. the Panthers. Did you guys see their owner's interview or something like that about the whole like picking C.J. Stroud and Bryce? You talk about somebody cut the mic off, cut it off, just turn it off. That's when I watched that, I was like, yeah, that was not good. That was not good. Tipper.
What about the Raiders coming out saying the only reason that they didn't trade for Stroud was because McDaniels went all in for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh God, yes. I mean, like,
goodness.
I just
Good
like.
riddance with that guy.
Oh, just take Bryce Young, deal with it. The guy's smaller than me. I'm sorry. I'm 5'10", you're 5'11", or whatever it is. The guy's an inch smaller than me. He's probably smaller than that, actually. Probably even give him a few on that.
Yeah,
so
like, when your best receiving options are Adam Thielen and Hayden Hurst, just rough. That's just a rough environment, man.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any help on the offensive line either. Yeah.
He's the real life White Goodman. I just picture him like leaving his like add 3 pounds to the women's scales in the women's locker room before you go home. Yes, sir. It's total White Goodman vibes. I'm better than you, and I know it. No, you're not. You should put in a guy that knows what he's supposed to be doing. Build it. You're the money. You're the money. You're a billionaire. You supply the money. That's all you get to do. You don't hire coaches. You don't evaluate talent. You don't go up in front of the media and tell us who we should have drafted. You're making this so much worse. And take those goddamn brass balls off your desk. Weird. It's weird.
It's weird.
That's weird.
That's me literally taking the bull by the balls. What?
As we get so the offense taking 3. I don't even know how to follow that up with it. We'll go to the net. We'll talk. We'll go to crossing it off. Cross the list off with it. The only team I can think about adding to the standings. I don't think I could do it though. The only team I was kind of pondering a little bit is maybe the Saints. But I still, they're right. I mean, the division sucks so hard. They can still have a chance to get in. But, man, they're starting to fall apart a little bit. Cargo's down a little bit today. 30 for 30s makes it in. So he plays.
Why didn't we talk about Jameis Winston rapping at Derek Carr last week? That was so funny. We should have at least mentioned it because Derek Carr was not interested, but Jameis didn't matter if he was interested or not.
I don't know. Derek Carr shouldn't be salty that he can't score touchdowns on the red zone. Man, our fantasy team is suffering right now. I had Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins. They both get hurt. And now I'm in a two QB league where you got to start 2. So I'm rolling with Matt Stafford and Derek Carr because that's the best thing I have available. And just the way you see this Saints team, they can move. They don't have a terrible offense, but for whatever reason, they get to the red zone. They forget how to play football.
It's Carr been his whole life. It's been his whole life. It's funny.
Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, dude.
I'll rock with that right now. He's been bad. I don't know what else. It just sucks. So that Jordan. That anybody else you want to throw out there? I got the Saints. I feel like we kind of got a few. I kind of maybe want to take off the Packers. Maybe take the Packers off. Are they still up 21-19?
Yeah.
Yes.
21-19, and they gave Pat the ball back. So damn.
I'm pretty sure I'm a little behind on my stream compared to yours, but yeah. The thing about this Packers team is they're so young. I think they're like one of the 3 youngest teams in the NFL. So you see that slump in the middle of the year, and you're wondering, are they going to figure it out? Is Jordan Love going to figure it out? And that's another thing. Like, they're young and they're figuring things out. Like, they're learning and they're growing together with each other. And that's just going to be another thing you're going to have to look at. Like, how are they going to evaluate Jordan Love? What are they going to do? They're going to try to place the tag on him based off of how he plays this year. Like, you're going to have to make some long-term decisions pretty soon with this guy. It's been a very up and down season because they've had learning curves as a very young team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's a good point. There's been a few teams in that same boat a little bit this year. Speaking of a team that was kind of like that last year, Rev, that now they're kind of falling into a little, or maybe the last couple of years they're starting to be a lot of teams. Maybe some people are saying, well, they can make a little noise here. It's against our boys here, the Bengals, tomorrow night. The Jaguars, they play kind of that up and coming team that's starting to make a little noise. Can the Bengals get an upset, Rev, tomorrow? Can you make our boys happy there? Are they going to get the job done on the road? 9.5-point dogs. Can they get the job done in Jacksonville?
I just don't see it happening when you got on one end of the field Jake Browning going up against the Jaguars, in which of course, you'll talk about the Trevor Lawrence and their hotshot young offense. Well, ultimately, the defense has been far more impressive and far more consistent in this offense. Like, yeah, Calvin Ridley's been gone. He's been getting going lately. Which is when you see what's going on defense, both their corners with Darius Williams and Tyson Campbell and the ballers they have all over the field. Josh Allen is trying to make Josh Allen might be a dark horse candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, just what he's been doing on the edge over there for Jacksonville. Foye at linebacker, over the past 2 seasons, he's led the NFL in total tackles. Like, they just have ball players all over the place. And it's going to be too much of a rough defense for a guy in Jake Browning, and so far, from what I've seen, hasn't been overly impressive. So he's going to have to find some rhythm here. He's going to have to show something that I haven't seen from him yet against a very tough, stingy defense here in Jacksonville.
Jordan, we'll let Jimmy get last word here with it. What do you make of your Bengals prediction tomorrow? You're usually very positive about this team. Is there a chance the defense shows up, they keep Mr. Lawrence under wraps, and Mr. Browning's able to do just enough to get the job done? Is there a chance here that that happens tomorrow night? What do you got?
Well, Lou Lamoriello does have a winning record against Jacksonville, so there's a positive there. T. Higgins is reported to play, so we got some positive vibes there coming in wide receiver corps. It's going to come down to the defense, though, and if Browning can actually see the field and not freeze kind of like he did in his first start, I don't see my Bengals winning this game overall, but I see Browning, and I see the defense is going to be much improved. T. Higgins is going to bring an energy. I'd honestly say 24-21, probably. It's going to come down to the wire, but I don't see the Bengals doing it this week. That pains me to say it, but I think they're about to add our list probably next time when we meet next Sunday night.
Jimmy, you got Troy and Buck calling the game tomorrow. What's going on? What happens Monday night? Come on. Give me the Bengals pick. Are you the one going with the Bengals?
I did pick I did not pick the Bengals this week. And I think Jordan kind of opened my eyes to it last week. I was a little bit blind to it. I was relying too much on the talent to be able to overcome everything that's happened. But at this point, it's on the coaching, because if this coaching staff needs one guy to be able to actually look somewhat competent and be able to put an NFL game plan together, well, then guess what? That guy is not. These coaches need to not be in the position that they're in. And I think this is either where they're going to prove all of those reports about Callahan and Amarillo possibly getting looked at for head coaching jobs, and if they're able to pull this off and make Jake Browning look somewhat respectable and are able to pull off an upset victory or 2 or 3. I mean, most teams, when their backup quarterback comes in, they're not expecting to dominate, but they're not expecting to totally shut down and put their season away. You still want to be competitive. You still want to win games. I still want to see them win and put up a good effort, but Jacksonville and Cincinnati right now seem to be on opposite trajectories. So it's a little bit hard for me to go against momentum, 9.5 points now, and the fact that we're not going to have our franchise quarterback that makes everybody around him better, and our coaching staff seems to not understand that. We cannot throw 50 times with Jake Browning. And please give the ball to Joe Mixon more than 15 times.
Man, you got the entire AFC North playing with their backups right now. We went from the toughest division in the entire league to now this is just
now it's the AFC South.
It's pathetic now. It's pathetic like that. It looks like you got Packers driving right now. It looks like here trying to kind of extend that lead from 2. You do not want a 2-point lead with Mahomes with the ball in the last minute. So you better get that thing to at least 5 if you're the Packers here. As we're kind of wrapping it up here. Like we said, Monday night, that will be kind of an interesting matchup. I wish Burrow was playing. That would definitely make it interesting.
Burrow owns Lawrence, just going to say.
So we'll see. Well, yeah.
He owned him in college. I think Lawrence's rookie year since he beat him.
That's true. That's true. I would have liked the uniform matchup to me. I kind of don't mind that one tomorrow with it. Game balls, guys, week 13. Jordan, you got a game ball for week 13? Who gets it for you this week in the NFL?
I'd say the Houston Texans defense. Big time at the end of the game. That's kind of a statement game.
That's a good call. They have 7-5, like you said. Great call there with it. Rev, you got a game ball for week 13?
You took mine with Will. You took mine with the Texans defense because I was gonna give that one to Will Anderson, but I might have to change things up here. Watching that Steelers Cardinals game, I might have to give that one to Trey McBride, actually a Colorado native, but made some key grabs over here, like against Pittsburgh
Pretty
today.
sure I
just at
wrestled
tight
against
end.
him. Pretty sure I wrestled against him in high school.
Yeah, because he had two brothers. He had one that went to West. What was the brother's name that went to Western? I think it was Dylan McBride. But,
Yeah, Dylan.
yeah.
I definitely wrestled against Dylan. I think I wrestled against Trey and got put into a pretzel.
But yeah, Trey McBride, he had a receiving touchdown, did some good things for my fantasy team there. And for Arizona to go out 2-10, no one's expecting them to win. But of course, like I said, with how little Pittsburgh scores, you can't really be too comfortable with stuff like that, saying that they're too heavy of a favorite. But Trey McBride went out there. They got rid of Zach Ertz, and for obvious reasons, because they feel very comfortable with what McBride offers at tight end, and he really showed out today.
Be interesting where Ertz maybe lands too, as well. If the end to go to the Eagles, go to the Niners, to get picked maybe I don't know. Be interesting where he maybe ends up on it. Good call there, Colorado native. Always like that little shout out there to the hometown. Jimmy, who you got for game ball week 13 here?
I'm going to give it to this generation's Bubby Brister. That is Gardner Minshew. Because he's never 100% given the reins. Nobody's ever 100% trusted him to be the quarterback. But when one guy goes down, he's a great guy to have as your backup. He's got moxie, and he may make it look ugly, but he wins certain games. 300 passing yards today, 2 touchdowns, and staved off what would have been an epic collapse against a bad Titans team. I'm going to give it to Uncle Rico, Gardner Minshew.
That's a good call. I had him as possible one, too. He had that great throw in the overtime in the end zone to make it there with it. I'm going to go obvious here with it. Debo. Just looked like he was on a different mission today. Like the way he
now, punk.
Yeah, he looked a little extra fired up. And I'll be honest, when you got Trent Williams on your team, you got to feel a little bit more confident.
That's the real Debo.
Trent Williams
Trent Williams is the real Debo.
I mean, when you got him on your team, you got to be feeling a little bit better. Just like, I don't know, like I still kind of remember like last year when they were getting killed with like 3 minutes left or something like that. He picks up that guy and he like just literally throws him down. Like you could tell he was all pissed off with the game at that point. Then there was some incident this year with the Bills, maybe, or some Browns, maybe. I think it was the Browns where Debo's kind of going with somebody. Then here comes Trent Williams in, and everybody's like, "Whoa, back up a little bit."
I'm good. I don't even remember why I was up with that.
I don't know. They've always had that cool little pregame thing where you got Debo, Trent Williams up front, bringing out the boom box. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool. They
every game, every home game.
They do. They got that. And then, so what do we got? Packers still got the ball right now. Where do you guys got with Chiefs here? 21-18. Packers are driving still.
2nd and 10 on Kansas City's 20. Yeah, they're in score range.
Okay, all right. So they're right there with it. They look at there, and then so Jimmy, as we're starting to get to a week 14, as we kind of look ahead to week 14 here, I was thinking about this yesterday as I was like week 14. Me and you are. We're chugging through this thing, baby. We're like that. We're all the way. Like I feel like now I'm in tune with everything. Week in, week out. We're kind of up and down with all of us. Now we're adding college football to the show a little bit. We're amazing. We're almost already here, so it's crazy. We're moving through it so fast. So.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. It's been a long time, and now I do this like every time that I know I need a break from school. I'm growing my hair out and growing my beard a little bit, I go Tom Hanks from Castaway, and it's fitting because I'm going on a cruise for the holidays this year with my family. So when we do ship off, I'll clean myself up. But for now, I'm going with the kids are like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "You guys are driving me up to go sit down. Go sit down."
Legacy. We call it the hockey playoff beard. Just let it go for a little bit there with it. So, week 14 matchups here. Like kind of look ahead, as we said, we're kind of wrapping up the Chiefs Packers game as well. If you're following around, watching, tuning in, we've had a lot of action here on the show. People tuning in, as many as eight or nine in there checking it. So appreciate you guys checking it out, talking the Gridiron here. Week 13 recap. So look ahead real quick to next week's games. Thursday night, Patriots Steelers. Woo, baby! Get yourself ready.
There we go.
That's an exciting one. What a barn burner that one.
Take the under.
What's the over under 24?
Yeah, the under could be 15 points combined on score. Like you take the under still.
Oh man, you guys got to talk about a rough one there Thursday. There's not then the mashups get a little The Jaguars, Browns, that might be a record-wise one. You got your Bengals play the Colts next week as well. So you got that matchup. Rams, Ravens, maybe a little bit interesting. Seahawks, Niners, but the big game is Bills, Chiefs. So the Chiefs, the Bills get another tough one, and then you got Eagles, Cowboys. So those are really your games. Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys. Those are your beauties next week, kind of heading into it. Then we got 2 Monday night games again, Jimmy. 2 Monday nighters, Tennessee at Miami, Green Bay at the Giants. I would say none of those that great of games, but that's the schedule for next week. Like I said, 2 pretty good, decent games there with the Bills, Chiefs, and the Cowboys, Eagles there. So those will be kind of intriguing, especially with the Eagles coming off this loss this week. Imagine if they go on a 2-game losing streak, all hell will fall over, right? And maybe Eagles fans deserve that a little bit. We've said that about Eagles fans, right, Jimmy? We just said that.
49ers take a 3-game loss in a row, so
yeah, that's true.
5-2.
That's true.
I'm not going to say anything disparaging about that fan base because I'm a closeted Eagles fan, and now we couldn't. I got to go all episode without DeVito. I referenced him, but next week when he's back and he's off his bye week, I'll sing some Shayla Luna. It'll be awesome. Everything will be right again.
Next week we'll do Monday night predictions.
Maybe this will be the week Dak Prescott maybe gets a little bit of MVP talk recognition here. I mean, he's been mostly playing well this year, and hey, that win against Philadelphia may give him a little bit of the recognition. I know everyone's kind of irritated and annoyed just at him in general, and now he's only got more annoying because every time, like with his pre-snap cadence, when he does the "here we go," just every time, like I know everyone absolutely hates that, but ultimately he's been playing pretty good, pretty efficient football ever since a bye week. Brandon Cooks has reappeared back into the offense. CeeDee Lamb's been obviously great as is, and ever since that bye week, like they've been picking up steam.
It's a Sunday night one, so that one's kind of fun. So we'll have that kind of on here as we're doing the show a little bit. We'll be able to kind of go through that game. The Broncos Chargers. We'll see if the Broncos can get back on track there in LA. So we'll see if your defense can get the Broncos defense.
Are you really questioning whether or not Sean Payton's going to outcoach Brandon Staley?
That is not a doubt there. Whatsoever.
I feel like that's a guaranteed win almost at this point. I know that the Broncos haven't been great, but that's going to look like a lot like last week did, not compared to this week for the Broncos.
No, I would say I feel pretty confident in that case with it. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Chiefs, just let people know here as we wrap it up. Packers 24-19. As we kind of get off the air here, make sure you check out the rest of that game. Here, like we said, we got a good show tonight. Got into college football discussion. Got to talk a little bit about that. Talked the Eagles, Niners. Went through the NFL with it. Guys, another good week here. Rev, appreciate you messaged me this morning and you're able to jump on again. It was fun having you on.
Oh yeah, whenever I'm available, I'll hop back on. Always appreciate you guys for having me over. So for sure.
Absolutely, man. Love it. Love your insight on it. Awesome. Jordan, you and Jimmy got your Bengals tomorrow night. So we'll see what you guys. I know you guys aren't like excited, but you'll both be watching, right? You'll both be there.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll both be there. So and Jimmy gives it out that end. Jimmy, you guys got the far end of the bench. You guys have been putting out a lot of shows with it the last couple of weeks. When do you do the bowl season picks? A couple weeks from now?
We're going to have to figure that out. Normally, I get it scheduled around the Army-Navy game, so probably sometime around this weekend is when I'll get it figured out. I think we're going to try and keep the same panel because it's been the same panel the 3 years that we've done it so far, but you guys should keep hopefully we'll be able to work it out with it. Possibly need some of you guys to fill in, and it'd be cool to get some new blood because we've had Miami, Ohio State fan representation. My brother and I played D2 college football, so we've had all those different opinions, but we're always looking for new ways to keep things interesting. We don't pick all the games anymore like we did. We did a 4-hour podcast one year picking every single bowl game, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't have much for Temple versus SMU. I didn't have a lot for that game. So we pick like top 8 or 9, and I've never won. Never won whatsoever. Have to sit next to my brother and the reigning, defending, undisputed. And now
you don't got any You don't got any comments for the Fruit of the Loom polyester bowl, Jimmy?
I didn't have any. The Cheez-It, I remembered the Cheez-It Bowl because that one year where it was like 9-6. and it was all pick sixes and everything
The
like that.
mayonnaise
Other than
bowl
that,
is the most disturbing one because the
Oh,
coach.
the Duke mayo.
I think it's that thing. Like
The
I'd
mayo
be like, I just don't
bowl.
want to be in the mayonnaise bowl. If I'm the coach, that's the only one I don't want to be in is the mayonnaise bowl.
Mahomes' nasty interception. That might be the game.
He threw a
Oh,
pick.
yeah. Who was it, the Ballantyne or whoever?
5 minutes left in the game, though.
Oh, it
5
was
minutes
somebody. It was a
About
Nixon.
3 minutes left.
Yeah, Mahomes has really lost it. What a bum. What a
he's washed.
And that's the insight you get here on Talking the Gridiron. That's
Well, he lost Tyreek Hill. If you're wondering who he did lose, yeah, that's what he lost.
He lost a guy that could go 60 yards like that.
Offensive line. He's been sacked 6 times tonight.
Oh, good. He
Yeah,
deserved it.
they had one. Well, they've had also 3 major injuries. Cook went out on the cart. The guy Drew Tranquil got concussed and was knocked unconscious on the field in the first quarter, and then Donovan Williams or one of their tackles got a neck injury.
Donovan Smith. Yeah.
Donovan Smith. Yeah. So they had a lot of injuries just happen tonight too.
And the Packers, surprising, continue to show a little bit of life here, kind of like your Broncos a little bit the second half of the season there.
Not my Broncos.
I know.
Not my Broncos.
I
just live here.
Hey, you watched the whole game today. It's your Broncos today.
Yeah, because the people
I had to
who
watch the
pay
end of
the
it because
Heat.
the Steelers game.
The people who pay the Heat wanted to watch the Bronco game.
Hey, you do what your mom and dad did. You're a good son. You were a good son today. You
Call me
stood in
Jimmy
there,
Cutlets because I still live at home with Ma.
There you go.
No shame in that.
Where's the
no
meatloaf?
shame in that. No shame in that whatsoever. Meatloaf, Mom, meatloaf.
I want it now.
Now. I need it now. All right, hey, we're getting close to playoff time. Week 14 next week will be 1 month out of the playoffs, believe it or not. 1 week closer to Christmas vacation, Jimmy. We're almost there. We'll have some real fun with it. For Jordan Maxson, for Rev, for Jimmy Pilato from Far to the Bench, I'm Darren Breyer. We'll see you next week on Talk of the Gridiron. Peace.